Have you created your sprites? And have you changed the player 1 variable to your sprite numbers of 3 and 4? Fantastic, I'm looking forward to seeing how they work. Let's take a look at my code itself. The first thing you might have noticed, what happens every time I run the code? What happens to the sprites? Hopefully you've noticed they appear at a random place. Let's try pressing some keys now. Let's use the arrow keys on this code. Find out what happens. Have you noticed? On your code, the yellow sprite, or mine, moves up and down. But for now, should be moving whatever your sprite is. Up and down. Let's take a look at that code in detail now. So first of all, I've made my variables. Just like you, I've said what the first sprite is going to be and what the second sprite is going to be with my numbers. I then said what the starting X position, I've called each one player 1X, all one word. I said that's going to be a random number between 0 and 127. And the computer's counter is from 0, so it's 128 options, because the screen is 128 pixels across. And then my Y number is 127 down. And then the same for player 2, the X number and Y. Remember, unlike a graph, computers start counting from Y being 0 at the top of the screen. So actually, as you go downwards, the Y number gets bigger, and you go upwards, the Y number gets smaller. You'll also notice that sometimes when I make a random number, because my pixels are bigger than 1, sometimes the object just hides across the screen. So one thing you could do to debug that is change our random number so it's not quite as big sometimes. Okay. Our next step, you notice there's 2 functions. Remember from our code, a function is a sequence which runs. I've got a draw function and an update function. So the draw function is how it's going to set out the code, how it's going to appear on the screen. And my update is how that could change. So in my draw function, I'm going to clear the screen. We use my CLS code. And then SPR is the code for a sprite. It's got 3 sections to it. I need to know which sprite I'm using. It's player 1. So wherever player 1 is, it's going to do that. So if you change player 1 to 3, it will load sprite 3 in there. Try change these numbers and you can see that it will load a different sprite each time. I then need an X and a Y. So I've said whatever player 1X is, that's the X number. And whatever player 1Y is, that's the Y number. I've done the same for my second sprite. Player 2, player 2X, player 2Y. Have a go at changing the player 1 sprite number to be 1 or 2 like mine to see what difference that makes, and have a go at changing maybe the random number to a specific number so that it always appears at the same place. You may want to change it back to a random number afterwards.